Everybody, welcome to DB Q&A. Today we're going to talk about negative thinking, so stay tuned. Okay everybody, I just want to say first of all, before we get going through this a little bit, thank you for all the support that I've been getting. There's been a lot of people who are asking questions and participating and sending me emails, and I really appreciate it. This is my passion and something that I love, and if it's something that I can do for you or to help somebody you love, then that's my entire goal, and I love the support from all of you, so thank you. Really quickly, and we'll jump right into negative thinking, which is something that I'm sure all of you are aware of. We all do it at one time or another, and I think I did a quick 2-minute quick tip a little bit about being aware of our thoughts a few weeks back, or a few days back, last week, I don't know. Anyway, so I want to talk a little bit about the types of negative thinking that there are and what this might do. There are theorists that believe that depression is caused by distortions in our cognitive thinking. So as we're going through and thinking things throughout the day, we have negative thoughts that then impact our behavior. And that in turn supports depressive thinking, and we kind of get stuck in a negative triad or a negative circle, if you will. And once we're there, it's really hard to jump out of that negative cycle. We just keep going round and round and round. So I'm going to talk a little bit about a couple different kinds of unhelpful thinking styles or maladaptive thinking errors that we might have. And I just want you to kind of listen, observe, see if this might be something that you're doing, or be aware of the types that there are out there. So the first one is all or nothing thinking. This is very black and white. If it's not right, it's wrong. If it's up, if it's not up, it's down. And this can be difficult because we can't always be perfect. And if we're thinking in a black and white way and we can't be perfect, or we can't always do things exactly the way that we want to, and we're thinking in black or white, the opposite of not being perfect would be failure, would be not being able to do what we want to or accomplish what we want to. And there's really a gray area. There's always gray. So the all or nothing thinking or polarized thinking, that can be really detrimental to us. The next one is overgeneralizing. And I know that this is something I catch myself doing quite often, actually. Everything is always horrible. Everywhere is always dirty, at least in my house. That's how I feel a lot of the time. But if we see this pattern in our way of thinking is something to be aware of, we can be overly broad and draw conclusions based on generalizing and overgeneralizing, which is not always true, and it causes us to go into this negative place. The next one is a mental filter, at least that's what it's called, which is where you only pay attention to certain parts of the evidence. For instance, you might look at a performance of yours and you might notice all the negative things or ways that you failed and ignore some of the ways that you did succeed. Noticing failures and not seeing our successes is what some of my notes say. So that's this mental filter where you kind of pull in the negative things and you disregard the positive things that might be present. The next one is disqualifying the positive, which is similar. This is where we discount the good things that have happened or that people have done or that we have done for one reason or another. I was really good at this, or I did this, but that doesn't really count because all of these other things point to how bad I am at doing such and such. That's just an example really quickly of disqualifying the positive. The next one is jumping to conclusions, and I'm just going to read you this part because I really like the way that this article, and I'll attach this article, of course. I always have articles that I attach to my videos. So this one will be, or states that there are two key types of jumping to conclusions. One is mind reading, where we assume we know what so-and-so is thinking or what someone might be thinking about us or about something that we've done, or fortune telling. I know that this will happen because such and such has happened, or I know I will fail, or I know that I can't get all of this done. is telling, predicting the future without proper evidence, and obviously nobody can predict the future. So that's a form of negative thinking. The next one is magnification and minimization, or awfulizing in some ways is one thing that I like to call it. This is where we blow things out of proportion or inappropriately shrink them to thinking that they're smaller than they are. I tend to awfulize when I'm really nervous about something, or I'm nervous about doing a video. I can catch myself awfulizing. You know, it's going to be really bad, and then I'll do this, and then this, and then this, and then this. And if you can relate to that, that's something to be aware of. We tend to awfulize without knowing the future, without knowing what's really going on, and we take ourselves to this high anxiety place because we're thinking about the future. We don't really know what's going to happen, but we're sure that it's going to be awful. So that's another example. Emotional reasoning is another one, assuming that because we feel a certain way, it must be true. I feel embarrassed, so I must be a complete idiot, is an example. And I know that this is common. We tend to come to conclusions inside our minds in this negative way. It's kind of interesting, and a lot of times we're unaware of what our inner monologue is and what it's saying, what we're saying to ourselves. The shoulds and musts. This is a negative thinking error that is so common. I do it, everybody does it. The should and the must, it kind of comes from our upbringing of what we believe we should be doing at all times or must be doing at all times. Using critical words like should, must, or ought can make us feel guilty or like we've already failed in some ways. If we apply shoulds to other people's results, it's often frustration. They really should be doing this. I should be doing this. And really, the should and must is most of the time inappropriate in that situation. If you stop and you think about it, and you're able to really look at the situation and say, is this true? Should I be doing this at all times? Is this really necessary? And the answer is, you are your own master. You are the one who decides what you should and shouldn't be doing. You get that power. That is yours. Okay, and we've got a couple more, so I'm going to run through these really quickly. Labeling. When we assign labels to ourselves or to other people, this can be really detrimental. I'm a loser, I'm stupid, I'm completely useless, they're an idiot, they are stupid. Excuse me for coughing, I've had a terrible cold this week, so I'm trying to get through this video without doing that. So pardon me. And the last one is personalization. This must all be my fault. Blaming yourself or taking responsibility for something that wasn't completely your fault. Conversely, blaming other people for something that was your fault. So there's two sides to each of these negative thinking options here, or thinking styles, and there usually is the two sides. We're looking for balance, right? We're looking to come into the middle and to really look at things from a logical standpoint. Okay, so now that we've identified some of the negative thinking styles or ways that we might have these thought processes going on subconsciously, right? I'd like you to stop right there and practice observing. Really notice what you're thinking. Think about what you're thinking. Is it mostly negative? Is it mostly positive? What are you saying to yourself? And I'm going to stop the video right there. This is going to be part 1. Part 2, we'll talk about what to do next and how we combat those negative thoughts. So tune in again next week, next Sunday, and we'll talk about the steps that you can take to turn negative thinking around and really support yourself. Negative thinking leads to depression and anxiety. And so it's one of the first things we really have to look at when we're treating depression and anxiety. So I'm going to stop right there, and thanks for the support. Go ahead and like my video, share if you need to, and stay tuned for next week when we talk about how to turn things around. Thanks, guys.